All right, I'm going to be doing some algebra problems. You can see here that I've already put up my wall. The wall is to separate the left-hand side of an equation from the right-hand side of the equation. And in algebra, I'm moving numbers from one side of the equation to the other side of the equation. And the way to move something from one side to the other is by doing the inverse or opposite operation. In this case, the opposite of minus is plus. So please write plus underneath minus. And the reason why we're going to do that is that when I have negative 24 and positive 24, they make 0. When I add those together, they make 0, and so I can just cross them out because they are opposites, and opposites cancel. So they're no longer there. And that's perfectly okay. You can do that so long as you do the same thing to the other side of the equation. So here I added 24 because that was the opposite, and I just need to do the same thing over on the other side. All right, 4 and 24 make 28. My dotted line always tells me where the equal sign is, and the other side is 7 times x. Now, in this case, the opposite of times 7 is divide by 7. Draw a fraction line. The fraction line means divided by. So, for example, this is 7 divided by 7. 7 over 7 means 7 divided by 7. All right, so this is 7 over 7. And that makes 1 because 7 divided by 7 is 1. So just like before, these are going to cancel and make 1. And now whatever I do to this side, I do to the other side, divide by 7. Okay, cancel your opposites. Bring down the x. X is now by itself because I've canceled the 24 by adding, and I've canceled the 7 by dividing. The wall gives me the equal sign. The other side is 28 over 7, and that means the 28 goes inside the house. So 7 into 28 goes 4 times. So the solution is 4. All right, let's double check. If I were to evaluate the function 7 times x minus 24, I would get, by evaluating, I mean replace the x with what I know it's equal to 4. So I'm going to replace the x with 4. I would get 7 times 4, which is 28, minus 24. And 28 minus 24 is 4. So in fact, 7 times x, if x is 4, minus 24 does give me 4. And that means when x is 4, I have solved this equation. Okay, so we've got a more difficult problem here, but you know, this is actually the easiest thing that you learn in math because you just do step by step, one thing at a time, nothing to worry about. Okay, so here I'm going to pretend that this isn't here at all. So let me just block this off for a second. Oops, cancel. I meant to get a rectangle, not a file. So let's see, I'm going to get rid of that for a little while because I don't want to pay attention to it. I'm not going to get rid of that for a second because I don't want to pay attention to it. Okay, now, the only thing I want to pay attention to is negative times 15 and negative times negative x. That means negative times both those things. So it's negative times the 15 and negative times the negative x. So that's negative times 15 is negative 15. And then negative times negative x, well, that's negative times a negative is a positive x. All I've done is negative times 15 and negative times negative x. When you're distributing, you just have to make sure you do that to both things. Okay, so it's time to bring these back. On this side, I have x plus 24. And what was under here? I can't remember. Negative 5x. But I'm just not going to worry about it. It was just something that was over here. And now I'm going to combine my like terms. First, I'm going to commute these two so that I can see that they're touching each other. So negative 5x I'm going to leave alone, but I'm going to bring that positive x over here next to it, minus 15. There's the equal sign, and it should be x plus 24. Okay, so these two I can add together. I've got negative 5x's, so that's negative x, negative x, negative x, negative x, negative x, and one positive x, positive x. Okay, so that's negative 5x's. Altogether here I've got 5 negative x's and 1 positive x, and those cancel out. And I'm left with 4 negative x's. In other words, negative 5x plus x is negative 4x, because one of them canceled. Negative 4x, when I combine those two, because these were opposites and one canceled, and now I bring everything else down. Minus 15, here's the equal sign, x plus 24. Now, which one you move next is really, it's a matter of opinion, but I like to move all of the x's to the same side first, and then I can move all of the y's later on. I can just hear somebody asking me what that is. That's a plus. Plus 24. Okay, so let's move this x to the left-hand side. So I'm going to move all the letters to the same side. Doesn't really matter. I could also add 4x. That would be the opposite here. So like I say, lots of options here. We could do many different things. So long as we follow the steps, one step at a time, we're just going to be fine. In this case, I subtracted the x so that these would cancel here. Okay, and bring down what's left. Negative 4 and negative 1 make negative 5. X's minus 15 equals on the dotted line, and we need some more dotted line here, equals, and on the other side I bring down the 24. So the only thing left over there was 24. And now the opposite of minus 15 is plus 15 to both sides. Big long line, cancel your opposites. 24 and 15 make 39, and this other side is negative 5 times x. Equal sign on the dotted line. And then the opposite of times negative 5 is divide by negative 5. So let's make some more room. I got one more step. Divide by negative 5. Divide this side by negative 5. And this is an irreducible fraction, and I'm just not going to cry about it. It's just going to be a fraction. It's perfectly happy being a fraction. 39 divided by negative 5. And an area of great confusion for a lot of people, in math, we don't like the negative to live down here. So I'm going to simplify this by making the entire number negative. Whatever this number is, it's negative, and the number itself is 39 over 5. In other words, I've brought the negative out in front. All right, so the solution is x equals negative 39 over 5. Next problem. All right, so this looks difficult because I've got this symbol here, but I'm just going to treat it like any other algebra problem. It just means greater than, and it means that instead of one solution, you're picking all of the answers that are bigger than the number that we get at the end. Okay, so I've got like terms here. 2x plus makes 2x, plus 7, and the symbol I'm going to keep the same over here, greater than, negative 9. And the opposite of plus is minus. Make sure you do it to both sides. Cancel your opposites. Bring down 2x greater than, and negative 9 and negative 7 make a grand total of how many negatives? It makes 16 negatives. 2 times x is greater than negative 16. The opposite of times 2 is divide by 2. So I divide both sides by 2, cancel my opposites. X is greater than, and now negative 16 divided by 2, negative 16 over 2, or divided by 2, is negative 8. So the solution is any x that's greater than negative 8. So like I was saying before, it's not x's that are equal to negative 8, it's all of the x's that are more than negative 8. So for example, negative 7, or 0, or 100. Any of the numbers that are more than negative 8 would be a solution to this problem. But nothing to worry about, just do your algebra, and at the end, you get your answer. Okay, next question. This last one, I'm going to use a table to find the solution. The solution occurs where y1 is equal to y2. We're looking for the x values that make both sides of the equation equal to each other. Obviously, that occurs right here. Okay, so the solution is x equals 6 because 8 equals 8 there. Exclamation point. All right, and we are done. So why don't you start your quiz for section 4, and I will be right back with the solutions.